Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, welcome back to another amazing edition of the Best Practices Show podcast. It's Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. And every Monday, we do something called Metric Mondays. A little bite-sized piece of information, a metric that if you watch it, learn about it, and improve it in your practice, it makes a big difference. And you know there's a metric that shows us how tight, productive, and resourceful your schedule is? Basically, how well do you use your time every day? It's called capacity percentage. Now, a lot of people get this wrong, but I have an amazing coach on today. Her name is Miranda Beeson, and she walks us through an important metric called capacity percentage. Please listen up. I hope you guys enjoy this. And we'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. Hope you had a great weekend. And today is Monday, the beginning of another amazing week, hopefully for you. And every Monday, we keep with the theme, which is called Metric Mondays. Our job is to bring you some bite-sized piece of information, a short little podcast on a metric that makes an impact on your practice. We're a helpful organization. We're going to keep bringing it. So thanks for tuning in today. And I have my co-host, Miranda Beeson. She's an amazing leader here and the director of education, unbelievable coach. And where are we going to go today, Miranda?
Hey, Kirk. I'm so happy to be here to talk with you and our listeners today about capacity and our capacity percentage. So we're going to be talking a little bit about schedule utilization and how capacity percentage helps us to measure how well we're utilizing the time we have in our schedule. So do you want me to just jump right in?
Go ahead. Just jump right in. Now, I'll say this before we get started. I say this about all the metrics. This metric is really important. I'm going to double stamp this one. This one is super, super important. If you don't look at any metrics at all, like any of them, this is one where you can significantly make an impact to your practice by looking at only this, because it's going to lead you to ask bigger and better questions. Don't you think, Miranda?
I definitely do agree. And it's funny because as soon as you said that, I wrote down the word hiring. I don't even think I have this kind of built into my thought of what we were going to talk about today, but absolutely capacity percentage is so important in so many of the decisions that we make in the practice. And we'll talk a little bit more about how this impacts the practice. But a big thing that we talk about as a coaching team with our teams is, I think I need another hygienist. We're scheduling so far out. I think I need another hygienist. Or an associate because I'm scheduling so far out. But when we really stop and look at what is your capacity of your current providers, a lot of times we're not fully utilizing the people that we already have and the time that we already have. So this is a really important one. It's a really strategic KPI. It's something that really leads into a lot of the different ways in which we might be making decisions around not only our team, but also profitability. So I'll just jump in. I'll share what it measures and then kind of we'll go from there. So capacity percentage, we often throw also around the word like utilization percentage. It's the percentage of available clinical time that's actually used for patient care. So it's calculated by dividing the number of hours filled with appointments, right? Butts in the chair, by the total number of hours available in the schedule. So you're looking at the providers that you have, how much available time, how many available hours do they have per day, per week, per month, and you're calculating how much of that available time actually was used for patient care. So this can apply to the whole practice, all providers. It can also be broken down into individual providers. If you have multiple doctors, you can see the capacity of each one. You can look at your hygiene department. You can look at your hygienist individually. So you can really break this down pretty granular or just, keep it really high level practice as a whole. At the bare minimum, I'd say break it into restorative and hygiene so you can have an idea, because those are very different by way of how you would fix the problem. But yeah, it applies to all providers. And the benchmark is 94% or higher. So if you think about it, in an 8-hour day, if on average you have a patient per hour in hygiene, let's say, just one cancellation is going to drop the capacity percentage of hygiene for that day from 100% to 88%. So you're not going to hit 94% in one day unless you really have a pretty full schedule. So we're typically looking at a week, we're typically looking at a month, or perhaps even a quarter to see where the trends lie. But it's really kind of interesting when you stop and think about just one patient falling out of the schedule immediately drops you below that goal or that benchmark of 94%.
Yeah. It's so important. Now, I actually need like a half hour on this one, but we won't spend a half an hour on this one. One of the ultimate benefits of tracking this number is it unifies everybody on how we work together and strategically think about the practice. I use this one all the time, but we have a lot of coaches here at Act Dental that were former hygienists. And some of the best hygienists we see in the country, their capacity is actually low because they get a cancellation and they go, oh, I have time for a breather. I can sharpen instruments. I can take a breath. I can get caught up on things. And even our coaches will say that was like the ultimate thing to get a cancellation. It was like a dream.
My favorite was like right before lunch, right after lunch, or right before the end of the day.
Yeah. And now you're horrified to think that wasn't good. That was actually bad. By tracking this, number one, you can know what it is as a practice, and then you can ask everyone to have their own accountability for and as a practice, your practice gets better week over week over week. So tell us how else it impacts the practice. There's multiple ways.
Yeah, it definitely helps to take the feelings out of our anxieties around the schedule when we have data to really explain what's happening. And you're right, I was that person until I understood the data. And then I said, oh my goodness, if the practice isn't making money, I'm not going to make money. So I need patients in the chair. Got it. I actually often say it's not the doctors that pay the team, right? It's the patients that do, because if they're not there, we're not making money and you can't get your paycheck. So it is really important to make sure we have the chairs full. A high capacity percentage means that your schedule is tight, productive, efficient. We're using our resources, meaning our people and our time, to their maximum. When we have a low capacity percentage, when we're below that mark, that benchmark of the mid 90s, we're often underutilizing time. There's typically open chairs, gaps in the schedule, and ultimately potential revenue lost. And the piece that's not really mixed in too much here that we don't talk about as often is patients. We do have a lot of patients who are really eager to maintain a consistent rhythm of care with us. And we say all the time, there's a lot of practice. They're scheduling so far out. They're scheduling so far out. And we feel so bad that we're having to put, Mrs. Finelli in at 9 months and not 6 months. However, if we have these holes in the schedule and we're not working to fill them, we're not serving that patient, right? We're not giving that patient the availability that they really want and need either. So it's impacting the patient's access to care, and it's impacting our profitability and our resource utilization. And the team energy, just growth of the practice. Even with a strong number of new patients, if your capacity is limited, it's below benchmark on a consistent basis, it doesn't matter how much you're putting into bringing new people in, your production's not going to follow. And then again, those patients are going to be impacted too. So I'll share a little bit about when this is going well. When you're in a practice where you are hitting this benchmark on a regular basis, what's probably happening in your practice is that your team members understand and utilize block scheduling. You probably have scheduling agreements, rules, and systems around what we do with the schedule, how we fill the schedule, what do we do with short notice changes, things like that. And they probably protect that production time. They really guard the schedule for you. Appointments for next visits are pre-scheduled before the patients leave. We talked on the last Metric Monday about the pre-appointment percentage. When we're doing a really solid job of pre-appointing our patients, we're going to have less likelihood of having those holes in the schedule. Also using that value building language, our team's probably building value in the appointments that we're putting on the schedule. And the schedule is routinely reviewed. So this is a big one. There's somebody who's reviewing and owning the schedule in advance. 2 to 3 days, a week out, sometimes 2 weeks out. There's somebody who's watching for changes in the schedule, gaps in the schedule, and they're like a dog on a bone finding somebody to fill that spot. They're like, I'm not going to stop calling these lists or texting these patients until somebody says yes. So that goes into that kind of quick fill cancellation no-show system and somebody really owning it. And I've had team members that I've worked with who, bless their hearts, I'm like, you can leave.
Yeah.
They're like, but I haven't filled that hole yet. And I'm like, I love that you've been working all day and you care so much about filling that hole. But like, you do need to go home and have dinner with your family. We'll work on it again tomorrow.
I love it. I love it. So that's when it's going well. You're going to see like people are following the rules. You have good systems in place. People are leaving with appointments. Give us some indicators, like what would be indicators it's not going well?
Yeah, if that number's not at that benchmark or higher, you probably have consistent openings in the schedule, sometimes entire hours or full high value, high production blocks even. You likely don't have anyone who's owning or reviewing that schedule. You perhaps don't have accountabilities established with expectations for your administrative team. And so there's nobody who really says at the end of the day, that was my responsibility to make sure the schedule was full. And so there's a little bit of a, that's not my job. And people just aren't concerned about the fact that that hole is there. You likely have gaps between appointments. So again, block scheduling is great because you structure the blocks so that you're utilizing all of your time properly. If you don't have somebody who understands ideal day scheduling or you don't have it built out in your schedule, a lot of times people are just kind of slapping appointments into the schedule and will end up being left with little chunks, even 10, 15, 20 minutes between appointments sometimes. That's going to add up throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the quarter of underutilized time. So poor scheduling flow, perhaps mismanagement of that buffer time. And then production is going to be inconsistent. You're going to notice that some days are great and some days really aren't. Morale will suffer because some days you're exhausted and other days everyone's, on their phones in the break room because there's a giant hole in the middle of the day. So you'll feel it by way of the stressors a lot. That's why we said this is a really important one, because a lot of the pain points that we hear from dentists that come into our coaching community or come into the BPA, it kind of points back to the schedule and what's happening throughout the day. But the good news is there's things you can do.
Yeah. So like every Metric Monday, here's your treatment plan. Go to the office, figure out what it is. If it's higher than 94%, you've got a lot of good things in place. You could celebrate that. But Miranda, let's say I go to the office today and it's like 85%. Like, give me something to do. What can I do to improve this?
Absolutely. So you're exactly right. You got to figure it out first. If you don't know how to figure it out, let us know, because in the BPA, the coaches, we're all in there. We can help you find the tools that you need to make it happen to get that calculation squared away. But if you do figure it out and you're below the benchmark, take a look at your scheduling. Do you currently utilize ideal day or block scheduling, or is scheduling just kind of willy-nilly, put stuff where it feels right? You're going to notice that if you aren't intentionally planning your day and your schedule, you're not going to have that consistency, and you're probably going to see that you're having that underutilization. So you can look at and implement ideal day or block scheduling to help protect those high value time blocks and make sure we're being efficient. The other thing that you can do immediately, because ideal day scheduling can take a little while if you don't have it established. But what you could do right away is have somebody that's now accountable. And they're going to review the schedule 48 to 72 hours ahead. Every day, they're looking 48 to 72 hours ahead. They're looking 2 to 3 days out every single day and proactively working to fill those gaps. And use your priority lists. Use your unscheduled lists, those follow-up systems. Bulk texting works really, really well. It's funny how many teams I talk to who are still just calling kind of one person at a time. And like maybe they leave a message and offer the appointment, and you'll say, well, like, are you still trying to fill that? Well, I left a message with Mrs. Jones, so I was just kind of waiting to hear back to see if she was going to take that spot. No way, Jose. It's first come, first serve when we're in crunch mode with these holes in the schedule. So Bulk texting is great, and you can customize it to sound very personal and welcome them to take advantage of this opportunity that's become available for them in the schedule. And more times than not, you're going to have at least one person that says yes, and that will start to fill the short notice gaps in your utilization that occur. So you'll see the theme here with this is you can be proactive and reactive, and you really should be both. You should always be looking ahead, trying to pre-schedule appointments, have someone looking ahead at the schedule, making sure we're utilizing it, have a plan for our blocks in the schedule. But then on a reactive side, because things do happen, people fall out of the schedule, we need to have a plan to work those follow-up systems, use our priority list, and have somebody who owns the accountability of, at the end of the day, making sure that that spot gets filled.
Yeah, so well said, Miranda. That was outstanding. 14 minutes and 11 seconds. And the reason I say that is we want to make good on promises. When you tune into this podcast, you're like, okay, really a short one. Let's see how that works. Okay, 14 minutes and 11 seconds, right to the point, what to do, what it is, figure it out. I promise you it'll improve your practice.
If we have any longtime listeners, they see Kirk and Miranda and they're like, oh, yeah, right, sure, bite size.
You and I can't have a conversation in less than 30 minutes on anything, so these are really difficult for me. But here's my point. We're going to keep delivering on promises, and this percentage, capacity percentage, is so important. I'm not kidding. If you struggle with this, we actually have a tool. It's called a capacity tracker. You can actually go back in the BPA, and there's a simple capacity tracker. I would say it's the easiest tool back there. It has the number of the day on the left and how many hours were available and how many hours there were butts in the chair. And you can give it to any team member and say, hey, let's do better. They can track their capacity. They don't have to do it every single day by hour, but they track it on their own, turn it in at the end of the month, and compare percentages. Individually, you'll be able to track capacity percentage per provider. You can even have a chairside assistant do this for the dentist. I promise you, this is my promise. Go back there. You're going to have to upgrade to premium. You'll get the tool, have everybody use it, and just look at the number every single month, and you'll find ways to improve the percentage month over month. Your production's going to go up. You're going to get happier. We're going to deliver on these promises. So join us back there. If you search Best Practices Association on the Apple Store or Google Play Store, you're going to see we have an app. It's free to start the journey. You can start the journey today for free. And you can be around other like-minded people. When you upgrade to premium, you're going to see there's tools back there. Miranda mentioned ideal day scheduling. We actually have an entire course on ideal scheduling. It's $99. How easy is that to get training from one of the best trainers in all of dentistry on how to do ideal day scheduling? So make sure you check that out. We also have BPA teams. If you care about your team, you can make the investment and have them have access on their own, get the individual support for admin team members, office managers. We have a whole forum for hygienists, and we have one coming for dental assistants. It's already back there, and we're going to add more and more to it. The point I'm saying is we got it. We got your back to help you create a better practice and a better life. So check it out. So keep tuning in. We're going to keep bringing it. I hope your week is a great one. I know it's only Monday, but it's going to get better. I promise you, if you keep joining us. So until we see you guys next time or you hear from us next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy your day.